Recently, a Dutch company, ASML, the biggest and the most sophisticated manufacturer of lithograph machines, expressed their regret not to deliver their machines to China. All this is because of US government intervention. Because the US government tried to prohibit Dutch company of selling its lithograph machine to China because of this so-called long arms jurisdiction. Because Dutch companies have used some US technology in the fabrication of these lithograph machines. So the US government threatens enterprises of economic sanction if it continues to deliver those lithograph machines to China. While lithograph machine is a useful instrument to produce chips, semiconductor chips today, especially in industrial way, is in large scale. Other methods are tested also today to try to replace lithograph machines. In China, we are making all kinds of efforts to provide needed chips to industrial firms. That's why in 2023, when Huawei produced a very sophisticated chip to replace chips provided by Taiwan, by Samsung in South Korea, in all these producers, the United States, all geopolitical circle in the Western world has been stopped by technology innovation in China. Actually, Dutch companies is in a dilemma because China is the biggest market for lithographic machine. China used to produce a lot of chips for different industrial purposes. That's why Dutch company doesn't want to lose this market. So they wanted to lower their technology level in order to avoid the US sanctions. Well, more and more, the United States government, Biden administration, is tightening its control over the export of all related technology and equipment to chip production. So Dutch companies is facing more and more economic sanction in this regard. But if you look at the US producer of chips, since 2023, they are modifying their strategy of selling their chips to China. Because so far, the US government just provided a list of prohibition. So if your chips is within those sanction lists, you are not allowed to sell these chips. So those US companies try to modify their models. They said that we are selling to China some chips that is not on the list of sanctions to try to steer clear from the US sanctions in this regard. While the US Commerce Department just realized that by banning all sales of chips to China, that is harming the interests of US semi-production companies. So the US government is trying to relaxing the sanctions to allow those US firms to continue to sell their chips, or they call not so sophisticated chips, to China. Well, recently, Qualcomm and NVIDIA tried to sell their chips to China. They have been rejected by Chinese market because Huawei has produced those chips to replace NVIDIA's chips. So Chinese firms no longer need to import those chips from the United States. That have put some alarm on the US companies, also on Dutch companies, because China is making its own efforts to produce lithograph machines, to manufacture chips. If China make more rapidly progress in this regard, then tomorrow China won't need those products and they will definitely lose their market. To some extent, the US company and Dutch companies are racing against time. So if they cannot catch up time, and they cannot replace the technology as fast as they could against Chinese companies' technology innovation, tomorrow they will completely lose their investment and lose their market.